Hello, friends. I'm Lori Hines with Just Among Friends. I'm here with my co-host, Ann Stacy with Texans for a Safe Israel and Mike Isley with Texans for Israel. We're here today with another episode with a fantastic guest speaker live from Norway. Before we get started with today's speaker, I want to do a quick shout out and I want to do a screen share, so bear with me. Okay. We have some upcoming speakers on our show here at Just Among Friends. Next week, we'll be joined by Mark Provisor. He is the director for the security project with One Israel Fund. He'll be joining us live. Followed by Mark, on August the 15th, we'll be having Charles Pullman. He's a speaker and attorney. He will be speaking to us on a changing landscape, Israel and abroad. You will not want to miss this presentation. I heard him speak at an event recently, and there were several speakers, and he was the only speaker to bring us to our feet for a standing ovation. So you definitely want to tune in for Charles Pullman. Then followed by Charles, we're going to be visited by Ruth Isaac from the Shema Institute out of Belgium. She is the co-founder of the Shema Institute. She's head of the UA relations at the EJA, and she'll be sharing what her work is regarding the Jewish people and the land of Israel and what she does regarding that. So be sure to tune in for all of those fantastic speakers. Now today we are hosting Britt Lode. She is Norway's pro-Israel leader, and she has edited a book that is fantastic, and I want you to hear what she has to say. Before we bring her on, this is her website. Please take a screenshot of this and visit her website and find out more about what she's doing, and you can donate to her work through this website. So we are excited to have Britt today.
Lori, none of that is showing.
Yes.
None of that is showing.
Okay. I will put screenshots in the recording of it for everybody. Okay, so I will make sure that gets edited in. Thank you, Ann. So Just Among Friends, as you all know, for those of you who have been joining us with us every week since December, thank you for coming back. And those of you who are new, welcome to our episode every week where we bring on guest speakers who share their work and their mission related to aligning with the Jewish people in the land of Israel. And we host both Christian and Jewish speakers, and we have our audience that is both Christians and Jewish people as well. So it is our honor to have Britt Lode, a Christian Zionist from Norway, who has done an amazing work with a book that she edited, and I think she has a new book out. So welcome, Britt.
Thank you so much, Lori. It's a great honor and blessing to be here among friends tonight for me. Yeah, I believe it's morning for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Wonderful. So, I ran across your name through another speaker, through this circle of friends that we are growing. You were mentioned in a book by Bob Odell, who wrote 5 Years with the Orthodox Jews, which that book, fundamentally changed and has been a blessing to so many people. You were mentioned there, but I also ran across your name through Gidon Ariel with Root Source. And so after hearing about you, I reached out to you because your book was so intriguing and the work you're doing. So we're excited to have you. What I want to start with, though, is I want you to tell me, before we go into your book and all the things that you have done and are doing related to the Jewish people in the land of Israel, tell me how it started. How did you, a Christian from Norway, become friends with Orthodox Jewish people, and you had no hidden agenda? Tell me about that. How did that happen?
Yes, that is a very I've been doing is often very unique. At the same time, we have some similar moments. So what most people don't know is that it was my husband that brought me into this. And he is my best supporter, and we are together in this. So I grew up very quickly. My story is I grew up in a Christian family. We had no special focus on Israel, but my aunt went to Israel when I was like 1 year or around that. And she, back then they didn't have internet and all this, so they show these pictures on the wall, you know, I don't know the English word. They put them up, and she went around and showed these pictures from Israel. So from I was a very little girl, I probably got something about Israel into my heart and soul. But I always loved the Bible. I always loved the stories. I prayed every day. I was very connected in my faith. And I grew up so blessed to be having the faith. So I met my husband, and he took me to pro-Israel meetings here in Norway. So believe it or not, Norway, when you hear Norway, you think about the Oslo Agreement, Oslo Accord, and all the bad things we have done to Israel. But the truth is that if you think percent of the population comparing to the percentage of other countries' population, Norway has the highest percentage of pro-Israel people. Wow. So we have a lot of pro-Israel meetings nearly every week all over. So when I have been doing pro-Israel meetings, have had people from Israel, it has been a problem to get dates because they say, oh, we're going to have another pro-Israel meeting that week. So can you come next month or next week or whatever? So my husband took me to these pro-Israel meetings, and there are really people that are so passionate for Israel, for Judea and Samaria, that are having these pro-Israel meetings. And they also had Israelis coming, and also some Israeli came by themselves and was traveling in Norway. And this is more than 20 years ago.
Wow.
And these preachers or these passionate Christians that went around on these pro-Israel meetings, they learned us to love the Jewish people unconditionally. And they taught us about replacement theology and how wrong that was, and that God still loves the Jewish people. So that was when I met my husband. He took me to all these pro-Israel meetings, and God started working on our hearts.
Wow.
So then we got a desire to know more and more about the Jewish people and to connect more and more. And we also read a lot in the Bible together by myself when I was home with my small children. And God was opening our eyes, and we saw this, we saw that, we understood more and more. And we got a desire to connect deeper, to get closer friendship with the Jewish people. Because we understood that here is something very important. And also on this journey, one very important thing is that we discovered the connection of the lost tribes in the Old Testament with the story of the New Testament. So that also changed our way of looking at the Bible story. Our whole faith was different. And also when we understood that there is a connection with the lost tribes, that the Christian might be lost tribes, some of the lost tribes, it makes you understand that the Jewish people is your family. It's your brothers and sisters. And then you understand that to reunite, to connect, is the highest goal. This is what we want to achieve. We want to bring the family back. We want to connect brothers and sisters. And that is why you said, with no hidden agenda, the goal is to connect.
Not to convert. That's so interesting because that's a big, broad topic and probably way broader than we can tackle in 30 to 45 minutes. But it does lead me to my next question, which is about this whole hidden, a lot of times hidden or not hidden agenda of Christians toward the Jewish people, which is so often the goal is to convert to Christianity, right? To convert Jews to Christianity, which we don't do, and we don't tolerate, and we don't support that at all or endorse that. But the question is, because it is such a common theme within Christianity, how would you discuss this with a group of Christians that probably don't understand covenant? Because it's the covenant that God has with the Jewish people that sets them apart, that nullifies the need to convert them. I mean, we don't need to do that. So, but what would you say to Christians about God's covenant with the Jewish people?
I love to talk about the covenant. And one of the reasons is my name, Britt, in Hebrew is covenant. So beautiful. It's very close to me and to my name. How can I say? The covenant God did with not only the Jewish people, but all Israel, all the 12 tribes. Like you said, it's a big topic, but I need to mention it to make you understand where I come from and where to answer your questions properly. So the covenant is a wedding agreement. Like a man and a woman are marrying each other. So are God taking his people to his wife. And that is the agreement. In our times, we know that people do divorce. But God says, even if you are unfaithful, I will be faithful. So even if we or the people of God do bad things, break the covenant, God will never break the covenant. And if he breaks the covenant with the Jewish people, then Christians cannot be saved that he will not break the covenant with them. So we need to have a God we can trust, a God that keep his promises and keep his covenants. And this is what the Bible is all about. It's about the story about the kingdom of Israel, how God took his people and married them, make a covenant with them. And in a kingdom, there is a king, there is a people, there is a law, and there is a country. And this is what the Bible is all about. It is about the relationship between God and his people in the land, and where the covenant is the law.
Wow. I don't think I've ever quite heard it put that way, framed up so simply, but yet so complex. And so that's an incredible explanation to that. Thank you. And I do want to highlight what you said about we need a God we can trust. And if people think that God has, forgotten the Jews or no longer is in covenant with them, we're not safe either then. So that is definitely a great demonstration of wrong thinking when it comes to people thinking that way. So thank you for saying that. I know you wrote a book or edited a book that I want to talk about, but I want to ask you about one more comment about this what I call the great debate, which is, a theological perspective that leads some people to think that the kingdom of God is going to be inherited by the Jews or the Christians. But could it be both? What would you say is the role of the nations when it comes to the kingdom of God, to that great kingdom that you just described?
Yes, so this kingdom, I will answer your question straightforward, even if people would say, oh, I don't agree, or that is a new thought, or I don't believe it. So like I just mentioned, the kingdom of Israel is made up by 12 tribes. And if you ask the Jewish people, because the Jewish people know much more about the lost tribes and what happened to them than the Christians, because it have not been spoken about in our circles. But in the Jewish circles, yes, not so much, but at the same time, they know about it. They know that they have lost brothers and sisters out there. And the lost tribes, if you read the Bible, it's also called the nations, because they were spread all over and assimilated into the nations and lost. So what is, you ask, what is our task? What is the nation's task to restore this kingdom? Was that right?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So I believe, first of all, it's to connect with the Jewish people. Because a kingdom that is, how is that in English? Is fighting itself cannot be standing. So we need to bring peace to that kingdom. So another simple way of saying it is that all the Christians believe that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is their father. And the Jewish people believe that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is their father. So if we have the same father, we need to be siblings. We need to be brothers and sisters. So that is an easy way of saying it. If you look into the Bible and really look after what happened with the lost tribes and the promises that God himself was going to save them, you will start to think maybe there is a connection here.
Interesting. Yes.
And anyway, the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of God, has always been open for people that want to come in. If you read in the Old Testament, there was always a way if people want to convert it and get into the kingdom. So there have always been a way to be part of the people of God. So again, back to your question, I believe our most important mission is to make peace between those who believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and stick together, have respect for each other, learn from each other, help each other, and act like real brothers and sisters. Love is the highest. Love is the most important. We need to love each other, and then we need to leave the rest to God. We don't understand his ways, but we understand that he wants us to love each other.
You know, that's such a great response to what you're saying is unity, come together. But I loved how you started that out with saying our number one task is to connect with the Jewish people. And so many of our Christian speakers who have now come to the understanding of where you're at, where we're at, as far as our relationship and responsibility to align with the Jewish people and support them, is so true. It's like, this is the greatest calling of Christians, is to align ourselves with the Jewish people. So that is so true. And I appreciate what you said about that. That's our number one task. And that's what we're really trying to do here at Just Among Friends. We're trying to help people understand why we need to align with the Jewish people, why we need to align with the land of Israel and support them and be their friends for sure. So tell us about this book that you have. This book speaks deeper volumes about connecting to the Jewish people, like you said we should do. Your book, what I'm referring to is The Torah Will Come, or The Light from Zion. Is that the title of your book? Yes. Can you show us the copy? Do you have a copy there? Show us this beautiful book. The Light from Zion, edited by Britt Lode, revealing hidden paths of the kingdom, a powerful message from 12 rabbis about unity, true treasures in God's loving heart. That is beautiful. What a beautiful cover. Tell us about this book. How did you get started, and what is, here are the rabbis, yes. David Aaron, Nathan Cardozo, Levi Cooper, Yeshua Friedman, Moshe Goldsmith, Moshe Lichtman, Gedalia Meyer, Hanan Morrison, Zelig Pliskin, Chaim Rickman, Shlomo Riskin, and Tuli Wise. Okay, so Tuli's going to be on our show. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Tell us about your book. What's the book about?
So after this journey that we just mentioned a little bit from my beginning of my journey, yeah. And I just give you some small tastes of my long journey. And so I jumped to this book. So after I have been dealing with the Jewish people for several years and doing some business, I started a company that I imported Dead Sea products because I want to connect with the Jewish people. My husband doesn't fly, so I couldn't go to Israel. So I had to do something to connect with the Jewish people. And when my kids went older, I could bring some of them. So I went to Israel for the first time in 2010, after 10 years loving Israel without being able to go there. So after a long journey, meeting a lot of Jewish people and understand the wisdom, the secrets that the Jewish people have been keeping for all these 1,000 years. And also understanding that Paul, the Apostle Paul, he was sitting at the feet of Gamaliel. And Gamaliel was learned in the teachings of Hillel. And Hillel, if you go and ask any Jew, do you know Hillel? They say, yes, for sure. And they are in the same tradition today. So I was thinking, wow, here are the people that are in the same tradition as Paul was sitting down and learning from. And he had this understanding when he wrote all his letter. So here is so much more for us Christians to learn, because the letters contains just a small part of teachings. And Paul also in his letters referred to things he have said in earlier when he visited them, or he sent other letters. So we need more information to understand the New Testament properly. So I had this, back then it was a crazy idea, because I'm a Christian lady from Norway. And I had an idea, I want to collect 12 rabbis, 12, because that is the number of the tribes of Israel. I want the Torah is for all Israel, all the 12 tribes. So I told the idea to some of my friends, and they encouraged me and said, go for it, try. And I said, okay, I don't know many rabbis. One of the few I knew was Rabbi Moshe Goldsmith. So I went to him and I said, would you be able to write all? First, I asked him to write all the lessons. And he said that was too much. So then I came up with the idea of the 12. And I had seen, like you said, Gideon Ariel on Facebook. He has this group, something like Christians that loves Jews, that loves Christians, or something like that. So I knew about him, and I took a phone call and called him and said, okay, I'm Britt from Norway. I have a crazy idea. I want to collect 12 rabbis. And his answer was like, I can get you 100 rabbis if you want. So we started. Yes, right. So I started to send out emails and did some calls, and we made it. We collected 12 rabbis, 12 of the leading rabbis in Israel, to write commentaries.
Yes.
To the weekly Torah portions for Christian readers.
Oh, wow.
And of course, it can be read by the Jews as well. It's not only for Christians, it's for Jews and for anyone else that want to understand. So, and this is, like you see, I told you about the kingdom.
Yes.
And the wedding. And there will be, we know there were a wedding when God took his people and made the covenant in the desert, but there will be another wedding when the Messiah, who the Christians and Jews are waiting for, will come. So every, let me see, every parashat is made like invitation to a wedding, or what you call it?
The reception?
Menu.
Oh, the menu. Oh, yeah.
For the meal of the wedding, because this is spiritual food.
Oh, it's nice. Wow. What a great concept.
So I am still surprised that everything went together and we were able to do the books, and that tells me, and I also want to tell you, that nothing is impossible if you have a desire, if you have idea that you really want to do God. So it's amazing. I believe this is the first book where 12 Jewish Orthodox rabbis are writing something for the Christians since the New Testament was written.
Wow, that's amazing. It's such a unique concept, but yet at the same time, it's ancient concept. It's unique because there's, like you said, no one else was doing this at the time. And I have to say, thank God there are others that are doing something similar or related or pointing to the same message you're trying to get out there, which is unity, connect with the Jewish people. You'll be a part of God's kingdom, and they are our brothers and sisters, and we need to stand by them and support them. So this is beautiful. And if for those of you who are watching this, either live that you're with us now, or if you're watching the recording, please look up Britt on Facebook if you are a Facebook user, because every Friday she posts the most beautiful picture of this beautiful feast table set for kings in the kingdom. And she always welcomes the Sabbath with this beautiful picture, and she invites you to join her. So it's just a beautiful Friday type of thing to watch and be a part of. So Britt, now tell us about your other work in Norway as far as your nonprofit. Tell us about that.
Yes, I will do that. I just want to mention one small thing about the book, because it's also connected to the prophecy of Zechariah chapter 23, where it says that 10 men of all the nations should get hold of a Jewish man and say, we want to go with you. So that is also a very, very important message that the book are built on, because this is a prophecy that not yet have been fulfilled. And I believe the prophecies, we need to make them happen. We cannot just sit down and wait for them. We need to work on them and make them come alive. That is also one of the foundation of the book. Yes, and please look up the YouTube trailer of the book where you can meet some of the rabbis.
Oh, okay, great. So tell us about that. What's the name of the YouTube channel?
YouTube channel is Oljetræet, olive tree in Norwegian, Oljetræet. But if you search for the light from Zion, it should come up.
Okay, fantastic.
So,
I didn't even realize.
That is amazing. And also what is amazing with the whole book project, I didn't pay the rabbis 1 penny. Everyone volunteered to do it. They volunteered to do the trailer, and all the income of the book is going back to Israel. I also volunteered because I have another job as a social worker.
I see.
So everyone worked for volunteers, so everything go back. And that is also the message of the word of God. It's for free.
That's right. Wow, that's amazing. Wow.
So it's made from our
the heart. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the best kind of work. That's the best kind of work. I just want to say, to respond to your comment about the prophecy of Zechariah, and you said we have to make it happen. We have to take action. And I think this is so key. This is what I've learned from my Jewish friends, that prophecy is a to-do list almost. You've got to get out there. If it says there's going to be a vineyard, well, you got to plant the vineyard. And so this is something, a valuable lesson that I've learned from the Jewish people about prophecy and prophetic events happening. So thank you for doing what you're doing. You took action to help us connect to the Jewish people, which has made my life a much richer life. And so thank you for that. Now, did I hear you right that you have another book that you either just came out with or you're about to come out with? Is that right? Another project?
Yeah, you have heard about my other book that I did before, right? The Mountain of Israel, A Taste of Heaven.
No, tell us about, I do remember that. Tell us again about this book here. This is your first book.
Because we are gonna speak about Samaria and Judea a little bit later. Then we will speak about this book, because this is about Samaria and Judea.
Okay. So, right. Let's do that now.
But you are right, because I'm working on another book. It's Precious Gems. Precious Gems. My daughter is correcting me all the time. So one of the rabbis, Rabbi Selig Pliskin, he is also a psychologist. And his lessons in this book is not one longer, none of them are longer, but he have written very small ones. So for one parasha, it's like 3 or 4 or 5 smaller lessons. So I thought, okay, let's do a book where they're just very small lessons, and they are connected to the spiritual and personal growth of everyone, how to deal with your friends, with your emotions, with everything in your life. So he got the permission to pick some of his lessons, and we have translated into German, into Netherlands, into Norwegian, and of course in English. So we are now working together with a graphic designer that are putting everything together. So hopefully in a couple of months, it will be available on Amazon. So that is the newest book project.
That's
Precious
amazing.
Gems.
Precious. Okay, we'll watch for that.
Yes,
let's go ahead and let's segue back to Judea and Samaria, because this is where I want to talk about too. Because really, if we had to say we had a niche focus with Just Among Friends, it is about Judea and Samaria. Of course, all of Israel, but we really have a heart for Judea and Samaria as well. And we've had several speakers come on and teach us about this and why it matters and where this is located for people who are new to the pro-Israel world. But what is your heart for Judea and Samaria, and what does this book that you wrote have to do with that?
So let's first, the story about the book. So we went to all these pro-Israel meetings, and there was a lady called Gro Venske, a Norwegian lady. Her father started some works, several Seaman churches in Israel, long time ago. And they have had both seamen and tourists from Norway traveling all around Israel, and especially in Judea and Samaria. So when she had her pro-Israel meetings, she spoke a lot about Samaria, and she spoke about families, and she collected money and supported many of these, I want to call them villages in Samaria.
That's right.
Yes,
yeah.
we need to be careful which word we are using.
Yes.
So the Jewish villages in Samaria. So even if I, for 10 years, more than 10 years, had been to pro-Israel meetings, seeing pictures, and heard a lot about Samaria and Judea. When I, for the first time in 2011, saw it with my own eyes, I said, wow, how can it be that I never could imagine how it looked? I have heard so much about it. I have seen some picture, but I never could imagine how it really looked. And I was looking in the bookstores in Israel, and there were no photo books, picture books from Samaria and Judea. They had pictures from all over Israel, and they had a map in the front, and where Judea and Samaria, it was just white. It was nothing. So I said, okay, I need to do a book to show the significance of this area. So I went home, and back then, like I said, I have a bachelor in social work. So I didn't know anything of doing books, but I had to start. It was a desire. Again, I had a desire. It was like impossible, but I had to do it. So a friend of mine, her son was a photographer. So we went to Israel for 1 week, took pictures, went home. I got connected with a graphic designer and everything I needed. God is just so good. So the book is, again, it's a map in it. And the map is also very, very vital, because you will also understand that the area, Judea is kind of simple because that is the area of Judah when the 12 tribes got their area. But Samaria, that is the two sons of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh.
Yes.
And that is
Britt, okay, you froze for just a second. Okay, you froze for just a second. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, so I just want to mention very, very shortly that Jacob, that got the name Israel.
Yes.
He had 4 wives, but who did he love most? It was Rachel, Rachel.
Yeah.
And he got 2 children with Rachel. It was Joseph and it was Benjamin. So, and we know how much he loved Joseph. So this is the land of the most loved son of Jacob. And Joseph got 2 portions, one to Ephraim and one to Manasseh. He got double. All the other sons got 1, but Joseph got 2. So it's a very, very, just that fact should make us know that there is something special with this area.
Right.
So again, it's about the kingdom. This book is having picture. It's a picture book. Let me see. Okay, here we are on Elon Moreh. We are taking the pictures and the photos. From all the beautiful places. And the thing is that it's also called the mountains of Israel in the Bible. If you read, for example, Ezekiel 36 and 37, it's called about the mountains of Israel. So a lot of things are gonna happen here. Here are we on our walk to the altar of Joshua. Here is the altar of Joshua. And along with all these photos, we have scriptures from all these places. And through this book, you also get the story of the kingdom of Israel, how it started with Abraham in Elon Moreh, how it was divided after King Solomon into two kingdoms, and how it again will be reunited, and it's gonna happen on these mountains. So it's not strange that the biggest conflict in the world is about these mountains, because the most sold book in the world, the Bible, is telling the story, and it's telling that again, the kingdom of Israel will be rebuilt. The people of Israel will be reunited. The king of Israel, the Messiah, will come, and the law will be restored. So very shortly, why is Samaria so important? Yes,
that's right.
The heartland.
That's right.
Around 80% of the Bible is written from this place or are written about this place. So this is the heart of Israel, the eye, the apple of the eye of God.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic. You know, your presentation today has been both political and spiritual and historical, but it all points to one thing: the kingdom of God and his people, and how you're right. We want to be part of Zechariah's prophecy that we are going to, you know, from the nations, go to the Jewish people and say, let us go with you because we know God is with you. And if the Jewish people are not the proof of the loving God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, there is no other proof. The state of Israel, if it's not proof enough for us that God keeps his promises, we don't know. We're just not in the right place. So thank you for sharing. Let me ask you this: where can people order your books? And then I want to do a Q&A session for anybody who's still with us, just for a few more minutes. We got about 5 more minutes left. So tell us, where can we order your book or books?
Good question. I think they're still on Amazon. So now I am emptying the storage, and the last books are going out. So I would say to everyone that really want to have them, you should be very fast. Go on Amazon. I hope they are there. If not, be in touch with me. And also, what was the name of
I think Ann Stacy.
Yes, and Stacy also have some, so please be in touch with her. And I also need to mention my non-profit company.
Yes, please do. Yes.
So I started my regular company, olietré, that is meaning the olive tree, and the olive tree need to have a non-profit fund, and that was the oil fund. And the funny thing is that you might have heard about all the money that Norway has because of the oil. They put in a fund, and because of that, Norway is very rich because they invest in different companies and all this. So I figure out that it was legal to use the same name on my so I have the same name on my non-profit that are only supporting people in Israel, mostly in Samaria and Judea, that the big fund that all the oil money of Norway is in.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So the oil fund. Okay, so we will post. Let me see if I can do a quick screen share one more time to show people your link to your website and your logo. Give me 1 second. Let me try this again. Screen. Okay, and then we're going to do a Q&A, and I have an announcement to make at the end. I should have done at the beginning. Let's see. Okay. So I think we may have it here. Yes. Can you all see that? Can someone say so? Ann, can you see this?
No, it's going back to your thing.
It goes to the picture.
Okay. Well, I will include this in the recording of it. So, okay, let's do a quick Q&A session, and then I have an announcement at the end. Let's see, friends, if you guys have a question, why don't you wave at me, and then you can unmute yourself. Let's see, we have quite a few friends on the call today. Okay, let's see. Anybody? Okay, Mike Isley. Hey, Mike, what you got? What's your question?
I just wanted to say that all during this presentation, I kept hearing the words of Ruth to Naomi. Your God is my God. Your people are my people. I just thought this was one of the best hours we've had. It was just beautiful.
It was. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Britt. It was beautiful. It's so encouraging and inspiring. And we can't help but look to the future. Stephanie, hey, friend, you have a question. What's your question?
Well, basically, I just wanted to, I'm Stephanie. I'm a good friend of Leia's, and she is a dear, dear sister to me. I actually met her about 3 years ago at Ann's, and we talk a lot about the Torah. That was kind of our connection at the first, but I know just this week she was telling me how appreciative, she is of what you're doing for Itamar and all of Samaria. So I just wanted to personally thank you so much for the books. And it's a privilege and honor to help in that, perspective too. So thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to you more. I'd like to be in touch with you, about the books. And I haven't read it all the way through. I've started it, but it's a beautiful book and very beautifully illustrated. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you.
Thank you. And Leah, yes, she is such an amazing sister. And like you said, we are family. I want to emphasize that the people that are loving the God of Israel are loving Jewish people or the Christians, or we are all together in this. We are brothers and sisters, and it's not just something I say, it's deep, and you need to understand, and you are my family. And this is what I said to Leah, the family of God is small. So we connect, yes, we connect easily.
Oh, true. That's right. Thank you. Okay, we have a question from Kathy. Hi, Kathy. You can unmute yourself. Kathy White. It looks like you have your hand up. Maybe not. Okay, let's see. No, I think that was it. Okay. I was misreading my screen. Sorry, Kathy. Didn't mean to put you on the spot. Okay, fantastic. Let's see. Anybody else? Nope. Okay. I want to talk about Anne, how they can get the books, and I also want to do an announcement. So don't go away. I have an announcement to make. But Anne, tell us how people can. You have some of Britt's books that it's a weird story, but they ended up at your house. So tell us how can they connect with you? Unmute yourself and tell us how they can get books, some of Britt's books from you.
Well, I'd advise you first to go onto Amazon and see what you can do because shipping gets a little expensive. But I certainly have the inventory. If anybody's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I think we could connect on that one. I'll send them to my office in Dallas if somebody would like that. But you could email me at Ann@TexansForASafeIsrael.org, and we'll figure out a way.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Okay, if there are no more questions or comments for Britt, let me just double check. I don't see any. Okay, I have just a quick announcement here. As we continue to enlarge our circle of friends, I just think that it's important for us to know as much as we can about upcoming speakers and events and things like that. So recently we had, when Israel opened up, all the Israelis came to the States to visit and on speaking tours. And so we recently hosted Jeremy Gimpel in Austin and Dallas and Amarillo in Texas. And we had fantastic meetings and teachings, and friends from all over came to hear Jeremy and Tehillah speak. And many of them have joined with Jeremy's fellowship, which is another Light from Zion event. So that was fantastic. We also recently hosted, Just Among Friends hosted Aaron Lipkin. He is he came over and did some amazing teachings on Joshua's altar. And there's an incredible teaching he did that we'll try to share a link to in one of our upcoming emails that we do every week. So Aaron Lipkin was in Texas. He did a fantastic teaching. Also, coming up soon is Ishai Fleischer. He's going to be in Texas. He's going to actually be in Granbury at Ann's home on August the 5th. And so if you want to see and meet Ishai Fleischer in person, it's a luncheon at Ann's on August the 5th, Thursday. Please email Ann for information on that. Her email is Ann, A-N-N, at texansforasafeisrael.org. You can also email me. I can connect you to Ann that way as well. But this, guys, this is the fruit of what we've been doing for the last 7, 8, 9 months. We are working so hard to get people to come together, whether you're religious or not, but to stand with the Jewish people and the land of Israel and understand this is the biggest thing of our day, to connect with the Jewish people, to understand God and his kingdom. And so that's the bigger picture, but it starts with small groups like us here, and each one telling another one and bringing, us together and enlarging that circle of friends. And if you've watched the news in the last, year or two, the Jews are the most persecuted people group in the world, and it's not slowing down. So they need us more than ever right now to stand with them. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate your support of Just Among Friends and all the amazing speakers. Please, let's give a hand to Britt Lode from Norway, who has joined us late in the evening. Thank you, Britt. We so appreciate your time and the work. You were inspiring. Your story is beautiful. The work, your heart is beautiful. And we are here with you, my friend. We are certainly with you.
The honor and blessing is mine. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're so welcome. Okay, friends, thank you for joining us on another episode of Just Among Friends. We hope to see you next week and the weeks to come. And share this with your friends and invite them to join us. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
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 Bye.